This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. All praise be Almighty Yah. Okay, Israelites, I'm going to go into the history of the Apocryphal books. A lot of Israelites think that those books belong to us, Israelites, or that we Israelites wrote those books, or any books outside the Tanakh, and Israelites, live in the fantasy world. A lot of Israelites, don't want to really do the research, and they just, accept anything. They got an Israelite title, and they don't know that people been in our heritage since the Babylonian Wars. Even before then, we had a lot of people in our heritage. The covenant we was doing was supposed to be a worldly covenant. So, it's going to be people in the land, and especially during King David's time. You had a lot of different people fighting in the army of Yah, But what I want to show is that a lot of Israelites are living in a fantasy world. And, I got a video called History Pirates, where Israelites, they claim any history, with people with pigmentation. They'll claim their history all around the world. Israelites claim peoples in the America's history. They claim they claim everybody's history, man. Man, I call them history pirates, and those are the Israelites that believe that all pigmented people's history belong to us and that we all the same. And that's false and delusional. Israelites like sensational history, something that something that sound fantastic and mystical and mystery and confusing. Israelites love confusing history that don't lead nowhere. You got Israelites, man, spend their whole time just reading everything about Israel, and not putting it in a categorical sense, and just accept it all. They don't know that other people had our heritage and been in our heritage. And Israelites don't know that when the covenant was broken during the Babylonian Wars, that was basically it. Now, it prolonged many little bit. It's like Almighty Yah constantly give you chances, and then he gave us a little chance that if the Israelites from the exiles, the one that was taken to Babylon, that 10th, if they would have miraculously did right, then, the world would be different today, and we wouldn't have the religions and so forth, especially those Abrahamic religions. We wouldn't have them in existence today, because the covenant would still be, up under Levitical and the Aaronic priesthood and so forth. But the covenant was broken during the Babylonian Wars, and I got a video explaining how it couldn't be two covenants. It couldn't be one broken and one, not broken, and how it was all or nothing with the covenant that we had from Almighty Yah, because that covenant was supposed to subdue the pagan worship and the idol worship and so forth. If we would have stayed on track with the covenant, that we would have been a priestly nation. Almighty Yah picked us above all his creation to represent him, and he put his name in Jerusalem, and we was to worship him there. But we Israelites got snared, man. But we got snared doing after Solomon's time. We're doing Solomon's time, but after Solomon's time, and we got snared real bad. We really got snared. I mean, before then, after Prophet Moses passed away, and Joshua come on, and then the Amorite Edomites got into our heritage, and they was lodged in all the way to today, right now. You know, they've been in our heritage, the Edomites, that are really Amorites. Man, they've been in our heritage uh, uh, since Exodus. Since Exodus, you know, the Sephardim and Sephardi are, you know, those are Jebusites. Those are Amorites. They're Canites, and they got in our heritage under Joshua. And Joshua made them carriers of wood or be working for the temple or whatever congregation or place that we set up to worship, that we'll make them do the labor, men around it. The worst thing we could have ever did, because when we was destroyed and kicked out, those people was well scribed and knowledgeable in our heritage, and they was already scribes from Babylon. Another segment of them, the Sephardims, they was already Amorites, man, from Babylon, but under their title where they was from in Cyprus, they kept the Babylonians' gods history. They kept the Babylonians' gods history, and you know that's something serious, man, to keep the Babylonians' gods history, and they come from Cyprus, and they was placed in our land in 722 BC, and them gonna be the real scribes that's responsible for Babylonian culture being all around the world. You know, these folks right here, and they was all in, man, they was all, man, as Phoenicians and traveling, man, from Syria, man, it's their other homeland, to the Amorite homeland. Is that they all over the Mediterranean, and then they would launch off to the New Worlds and stuff, you know, off over, you know, meant to the Americas, and then they did trade in the Americas and so forth, and locked it down and got its lands first, got all the land first. You know, I showed you how America is founded by the Amir families, you know, from Babylon and so forth. You know, that's one of the leading videos. All right, those folks got in our heritage as Amorites, and when we abandoned our heritage, that they were scribes. They was already scribes writing books and keeping a cuneiform and whatever writings that you have today about the Babylonian gods, that's in detail. All of them, Nabu, Norgel, all of them, you know, the moon gods and all the Babylonian gods history is available. All you have to do is type it in. Well, those are the custodians of it, those Amorites right there. And then they was in our heritage, placed in our heritage in 722 BC, and then they would lay dormant for a while, and then, you know, after we made different attempts to try to get right with the covenant, that they was there, and then when we slipped and lost the covenant, they was still there. They were still there, and then I got videos explaining that those Amorite mixed with the Moabites and the Ammonites and the Edomites, and then that's where the Semitic term come from, and those are the real Semitic families. In that, when those Amorites mixed it with the Moabites and the Ammonites, and in the last days, they would get our heritage from the exiles, that 1% that was prophesied to be destroyed by prophet Isaiah. You know, this could easily be a 2-hour video, and I'm gonna show y'all that when the exiles come back, how they was destroyed, and then at the same time, I want to show that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes and that Israel was present after the Babylonian captivity as well as before, because it wasn't no 10 lost tribes, you know, and that 10 lost tribe myth was created to distort and pass our heritage around. You know, like I said, that a lot of folks lived in our land, and they would write books. The book writers, and one of the greatest false history ever created to distort Israelite history is the 10 lost tribes, and you got the 99, probably 95% of the Israelite community believe in the 10 lost tribes, and then once you start getting distorted and confused on little simple history, that it's kind of impossible for you to understand the real important history, because the little simple history got you confused. And one of the simple history that's confusing the Israelite community is that 10 lost tribe myth. You know, I explain in plenty of videos that Assyria, uh, uh, man, Assyria really got destroyed after prophet Jonah was there and told them to straighten up, because they was, they was letting Scythians, Babylonians, and everybody into their nation. They was starting to lose control of their nation. Man, they had all those uh, uh, different peoples and ethnic groups, under their control. You know, this is where Assyria was, and they had Elam. They had the Scythians, Japhet. They had the Amorites, the Babylonians. They had everybody under control, and I explained how they had got that control by kidnapping the tribe of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh, who was defending the Egyptian religion. You know, Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh was defending the Egyptian religion in the northern kingdom, and they was probably stationed everywhere because they was the warriors and so forth. And man, it's a whole it's a whole different understanding when you know truth, and know real history and so forth. That'd be, the Assyrian Empire and so forth, and then how it went all the way into Egypt, and then I'm gonna show that they needed the tribe of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh, and then I'm gonna walk it all the way down to the basically to the New Testament era, and I'm gonna prove within this history that the exiles were destroyed, and that the people who occupied our land, the apocryphal books, are theirs. The Amorite Edomite stock during Greek time, and then the Hezmonians. I already explained and got a video showing you that the Hezmonians come from the Nethinims and the Tobias and the Amorites, and the peoples that come from Babylon, and the Moabites, and all the folks, all our enemies, Solomon's folks that he brung in, his servants from other nations, they descendants, and all them become one. That's your real Semitic term. And then how that they was all one, and then how that they was in our heritage, and then when we left, me and them folks will write books and got a history, and that's those apocryphal books that Israelites accept as truth. You know, they accept them books as truth, and they think that our heritage, thinking that we broke the covenant. Some Israelites don't, the vast majority of the Israelites don't even know that the covenant was broken that was given to us from Prophet Moses during the Babylonian wars, and that it was over and couldn't be fixed. It couldn't be fixed when the majority of it said that we was going to do Egyptian religion, or kept associating and fooling with the Egyptian religion, which got bad during Solomon time. He built an Egyptian woman a house on the promised land right next to the temple and so forth. So it couldn't get no worse than that. And then Jeroboam from the tribe of Ephraim will bring the Egyptian religion out and put it on the northern kingdom, 931 BCE. That would destroy the northern kingdom's monarchy, and like I said, the tribe of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh, who defended the Egyptian religion, was kidnapped by the Assyrians. Man, the Assyrians had got the big head, that's after Jonah had already been to them. They got the big head, and after they didn't kidnap Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh to help them fight the Scythians and the Babylonians and all the other folks that they've been robbing for a long time, it is that, they got destroyed. And Prophet Jonah was there telling them to get right. And they had them folks in their nation, but they was robbing them. And then Prophet Nahum would come with the final decree on Nineveh, the Assyrians. But like I said, they had given credit to their gods and so forth, and didn't recognize Almighty Yah and the power, the real power on this earth. And then they was destroyed and wiped off the planet in 612 BCE. The whole Assyrian nation disappeared, man, forever. They was wiped out by Ashkenazi, the Scythians, who came to our land because we was on Egyptian religion. And then we would all go into Africa, all the tribes, because it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. And then that little 1% that was captured was taken to Babylon. And when they come back, they got destroyed so fast. And I'm going to go into their history. But Prophet Isaiah had already told us that it would happen anyway. So it come to pass. They got destroyed. But what happened is that when they got destroyed, that it was so quick and so fast, and that the people was messing off, that they didn't record the transfer. And it was like the blink of an eye. Our heritage going completely over to the people that we abandoned our heritage to, because the 99% was in Africa getting ready for the transatlantic slave trade. We had went into Africa through Egypt, and I got a video explaining who we were, called the Grammentians. That's a folk name given to us by the Greeks and so forth. Oh man, it's a cold thing. And listen, those apocryphal books mean there's no known author for them. They don't have an author. And then them books, the Maccabees and the them books, I showed it that the Hasmoneans and that was written about the Hasmoneans struggle. You know what I'm saying? The Maccabees, and then how the Edomites was brung in totally under their control. And then I'm going to show how the Edomites had heard that temple that Herd built, that he took the original temple down that Zerubbabel now repaired, returning from Babylon, the exiles. He took that completely down because them Edomite Amorites couldn't help repair on it. So after they then destroyed the exiles, they took that temple down, and Herd built him a brand new complete temple that Israelites are confused and think was holy. And then when Ashkenazi had that temple destroyed through the Romans, that those Edomites went off into the desert and put their books in the Quran cave. Now Herd having the Edomite temple that's supposed to be holy, our books were still around. We had completed the Tanakh. From Genesis to the book of Malachi was the cutoff. Then, 98 years later, 430 BCE, and 98 years later, the Greeks roll up 332 BC, and then how that we categorize and chronicleize our whole history. It was the end. It was the end, and then after that, men blank history till they say the New Testament was created. But before the New Testament was created, which laid the foundation for the New Testament history, you have those apocryphal books that was created by the Amorite Edomite Moabites. The peoples that got our heritage after we abandoned it because the exiles got knocked off quietly. If you read these prophets' history, mean about the exiles, you'll know that they couldn't stand. And then, like I say, it couldn't be two covenants. It couldn't be two covenants, one broken and one not. When we went into Africa during the Babylonian War, see, that's something that the Israelite community don't know about, and they neglecting to understand. The Israelite Brotherhood been on this and been bringing this out, and that you Israelites gonna have to embrace it one day, probably to even get home in the promised land, because you got to know truth about your heritage. You can't go back to the promised land delusional, because your delusional state would lead us back to idol worship. And some of you Israelites are in idol worship already by believing in demigods and so forth. So it wouldn't do no good for you to go back to the promised land. And when we was kicked out the promised land for that mess, I believe that's what's holding our captivity up too, is that it's not enough Israelites knowing the truth. And that they believe in the history that the people we abandon our heritage to created. See, most Israelites don't even have a clue that it's other ethnic groups that got our heritage, and that it was thousands of peoples living in our heritage. And I count at least 12 nations that had moved in during the exiles time, and they would all want to be Israelites, and they would all take the Israelite title. And then, man, you got the Sephardists, who was Amorite, Moabite traders, who went all around, all up in Europe, all in these parts, all in Asia, and all in China, men converting folks and giving folks an Israelite title in heritage, and they would create false history, and then the 10 Lost Tribe myth cover them, and they put them in there because they always say that the Israelites went off to them lands, But the Israelites don't know that other people had our heritage, and that they would create books and writings. They ain't never played with the Tanakh, but some Israelites think that those apocryphal books were kept out of our history, or not associated with it, because the Christian church. No, the man King James and the Protestant them, man, that they been at war by proxy. Ashkenazi and the Sephardists been having proxy wars for a long time, and Christianity is a tool that Ashkenazi used to combat the Sephardists, who created Islam to fight them back and so forth. And then the Christian church rejected the Edomite books, the Edomite books that they know wasn't holy. That they know wasn't holy. All them apocryphal books are written during Greek time, and then they don't have no author. No author. You cannot trace an author to none of them books. And then if you try to use the Maccabees and use that Jason from Cyrene. Well, that was a Greek colony in Libya. That was a Greek colony in Libya, and that was a Sephardi that was men away from this land. And man, the Sephardi's had not forced dysphoria, but during Greek times, they would go where they was already merchants, and they would go wherever the Greeks went and conquered lands, and they would set up trade and facultate industry in them lands and so forth. And then that's why they, it was a Jewish community all over the Greek Empire and Roman Empire too, because they did trade. They've been masters of capitalism since Babylon, since being from Babylon. I already show you that they from Cypher, right there. And that's, man, I traced Cypher and did research on Cypher, and this whole administrative structure that we up under right now today in captivity is identical, from the naming of the streets to judges to the police force to the allotment of land and the taxes. Everything is identical to what they had in Cypher. And that's, America is the daughter of Babylon, because this is where the Amorites came and set this shop up long time ago, way before the transatlantic slave trade. That's how they knew to come get us from Africa. Eventually, it became possible, when they was broke up from Spain and so forth, when the Catholic Church chased them out of their hideout, the Phoenician Amorite hideout, Portugal and Spain, and then the Amorite decree and so forth, the Inquisition and all that, and how them old Edomite Amorites went down into Africa and got us real Israelites. It took 275 years and then removed us to the Americas. Now let's go into some of this history, man. I had said that now I'm gonna walk it down. I'm gonna walk it down, and I'm gonna do a little bit of history with the showing that, man, it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. I can show you, Israelites going back to Solomon days, how after Solomon's death, that how the tribe of Ephraim, Jeroboam, brung that Egyptian religion and put it on us, and then how that Egyptian religion would stay on us all the way mid till we was destroyed, men, and driven out the land. And then when we was destroyed and driven out the land, all the peoples that didn't get destroyed, that was kin to the people that was destroying us, absorbed our heritage. And then they would write books, and they would, create books that people would want to perceive as holy within their sphere of control and so forth. So they got to come with some books, and they was very well familiar with the Tanakh that Ezra had compiled and put together. I got a video explaining who was responsible for the Torah and Tanakh, and I show you that Ezra chronicalized our history, man, before our lights went out, and that they was familiar with it, and that they would build stories off it, and those would be those apocryphal books that you Israelites think are true. Y'all think them books true. To look at that scribe right there. That's a Babylonian scribe playing with our heritage, putting books together. He been in our heritage since Exodus. since Exodus. They've been in our heritage since Exodus, so they're gonna be well versed, and they can create false prophecies. They can create false history. They can create false prophecies identical to off the prophecies that we created. That they can create a false one, and they got Israelites believing in that somebody coming back to save them, that was created during the Roman times, and that how a mystical godson is coming to save them. See, them Israelites are snared in their power and ability to create religions, and they've been doing it since the Tower of Babel. That's why all the false religions in the Promised Land that we were supposed to destroy, they was the custodians of it. Let me show y'all this real quick. Let me show y'all how how them folks got in our heritage as Amorites. As Amorites first, and they're Jebusites too. They're Jebusites, but because they're Amorites. All right, go to Joshua. It's important to understand this, because when you understand that other people had our heritage, other people had our heritage other than us, then you can understand that they would create some books. And then if they create some books and they can create false spirituality and have you believing in it, then that's what they did. And you Israelites need to understand that. All right, they can create a false spirituality, and a lot of you Israelites got false spirituality because you believe in the demigod concept that they created during the Greek and Roman times, not knowing that wasn't no Israelites around creating that false history, and that those peoples had used our history as the foundation. Yes, man, they've been dealing with our heritage for a long time. Look here, all right, go to Joshua. We're gonna go to Joshua. We're gonna go to Joshua. Man, that'll be Joshua. That'll be Joshua 9. And you see Gabon, and they tricked us. So why would they ever tell the truth about anything dealing with the Israelite heritage when they came into our heritage with deception? So their power comes from being able to deceive. And then that's why they deceived you Israelites with those apocryphal books, because you think that we wrote them books and so forth. All right, but those are Amorite scribes. The Amorite Sephardims from Cypr, men from Cypr, and been writing Babylonians' God's history for thousands of years before we was even Israelites. Go all the way back, man, to Genesis, Babel. They gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? And then when they be trying to unite the world, one world government, and then how Almighty Yah dispersed the nations and made all different nations, but they want to bring it back all to one. That's that Babylonian concept, men that come from them. All right? And when the inhabitants, all right, this is Joshua 9. And when the inhabitants of Gabon heard what Joshua had done unto Jericho and to Ai, they did work wittily, and went and made as if they had been ambassadors, and took old sacks upon their asses, and wine bottles, old and rent and bound up, old shoes, and clothed up on their feet, and old garments upon them, and all had bread of their provisions was dry and moldy. Now they was real slick. They done went and put some old stuff. Now, how crafty can you get to be deceiving Almighty Yah's chosen, the people that's supposed to represent his covenant? See, but these people was the founders of the Canaanite religion and so forth, that we was finna extinguish. So this is how the Canaanite religions get to stay alive, is that it leached on to our heritage then, where we slipped, man, and let them in. See, but they came deceitfully. And then, they knew that we was destroying the Amorites and their culture and their way of worship. And then they went and put some old clothes on and some old shoes and some old rags and some old bread. And then they came to us and said, we've been heard about y'all and we come from a long way. And we just want to be servants to y'all. And then we didn't consult Almighty Yah. And then we made them keepers and workers of whatever temple that we would have. And that was our doom right there. We didn't recover from that because they was lost in our heritage all the way till we was destroyed. And man, all the way till we was destroyed. And then the ones that was placed in our land in 722 BC, that they had been there under King Josiah and so forth, that they wanted to rebuild the temple that Zerubbabel and them repaired on, Solomon's temple, you know what I'm saying, our temple that we had, and we told them no. And then they would destroy the exiles and then get in the temple, because remember, the Amorites are the real Semitic peoples. They are Moabites, Ammonites, Amorites. Have I shown in plenty of videos how all those folks kind of, the Amorites had, made it with all of them, especially the Moabites and the Ammonites, Sir Sihon and those kings doing our pilgrimage from Egypt during Exodus had already subdued the Ammonites and the Moabites. I got videos explaining this. I might even show a little bit, but here, see, look, Sihon, king of Heshbon, king of Bashan. See, look, and all that he did to the two kings of the Amorites that were beyond Jordan. See, to Sihon, king of Heshbon. Heshbon is one of the Moabites, Amorites, Moabites capital and so forth. But that how the on the other side of Jordan, the Amorites had already conquered and absorbed the Moabites and Ammonites long time ago. But anyway, man, they tricked us, and they had on some old stuff. Look, that our bread we took hot for our provision out of the house on the day we come forth to go unto you. But now behold, it is dry and moldy. Now these bottles of wine which were filled were new, and behold, they are rent, and these our garments and our shoes are become old by reason of the very long journey. And the men took their victuals and asked not counsel at the mouth of Yah. And Joshua made a league with them, to let them live. And the princes of the congregation swore to them. And then come to find out, me and them folks was right close to us. Real close to us. And they lodged around our heritage, But listen, this is what we did. The worst thing we could have ever did. Look, this we were doing to them after we found out, that they was, from close by, and we were supposed to get them. Look, but all the princes said unto the congregation, we have sworn unto them by the Elohim Yah of Israel. Now therefore we may not touch them. This we will do to them. We will even let them live, lest wrath be upon us because of the oath which we swore unto them. And the princes said unto them, let them live, but let them be hewers of wood and drawers of water unto all the congregation, as the princes has promised them. And Joshua called for them, and you know what I'm saying, and yeah, man, look, now therefore ye are cursed, and there shall none of you be free from being bowmen and hewers of wood and drawers of water. Yeah, that should make Sonic just right there. For the house of my Yah. Look, and that's the worst thing we could have ever did. Because look here. as I showed you before, that those are them Ammonites. Those Ammonites are Amorites, and that's the worst thing that we ever did. That's the worst thing we ever did, was when we let them folks stay men in our heritage. Look here. Now the king called the Gabonites and said unto them, now the Gabonites were not of the children of Israel, but of the remain of the Amorites. Look, but the remain of the Amorites. Now, they was Amorites from the beginning. They ain't changed. That's like now. They Amorites. The Sephardics are Amorites, but they're called Judites because they been in our heritage man, forever. You know what I'm saying? And it's time Israelites start understanding this. And listen, those Amorites are Jebusites, and the Jebusites are scribes. Men, the Jebusites are Malachi, gonna be from Jerusalem. Amorite Jebusite. He worship the Almighty Yah, but they gonna be scribing and be close to our heritage as them folks was when they got lost in our heritage when we come out men in Egypt, and they stayed in our heritage men the whole time. The whole time. And then they folks come from Sipper during the Assyrian times, and these the ones that would create the 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 10 lost tribe myth. Now they're Amorites too, because Amorites are the founders of Babylon, where these folks was, Murray, and this was one of their towns, and they was followers of Hamabar and so forth. But look here, them folks, that scribing part that kept Babylon's God's history was placed in our land in 722 BC. But remember me saying that the Assyrians kidnapped the three tribes, but then they start taking credit and crediting it to their gods and so forth, and that how the Assyrians had believed in Almighty Yah from Jonah times, how they humbled themselves and put on sackcloth. But then it was a wild group that was in Assyria, because I just show you on this map right here. You see up here? Syria was right here, Assyria. That's where Assyria was, right there. Right up in there. And they was whooping Elam, they was whooping Babylon, they was whooping the Scythians, they was whooping everybody. And then how they had come kidnap three tribes. Three tribes. And then them three tribes is what gave them their power. And then that's why it wasn't no 10 lost tribes, because those tribes would eventually, with everybody else, get a chance to go into Africa when the Assyrian Empire took over Egypt. Look, and we was with them too. We was with them too. Look, let me show this. Look, all right, look, you see that? And then they would set up the Setai kings. And the Setai kings, man, they, put the tribe of Judah on Egyptian religion. The tribe of Ephraim was already, the northern kingdom was already on Egyptian religion from Jeroboam. All right, let's do this. All right, and let's show them folks being put in our land. 722 BC. All right, describes. So that'll be Second Chronicles. Second Chronicles. I got so much history to do. Man, this might be a part 2 on this. Y'all bear with me. Second Chronicles, chapter 17, and verse 24. Second Chronicles 17:24. Hold on, let's find it. Second Kings, man, that'll be Second Kings 17:24. I don't know what I was thinking about Chronicles for. Alright, let's go to Second Kings. I want to get in Chronicles so bad. I'm gonna get in it. Alright. Alright, Second Kings. Alright, chapter. Alright, I just turned right to it after I opened this book. Alright, look, you see right there. Alright, and the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cuddle and from Abel and from Sepharvaim and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel, and they possessed Samaria. Well, they was trying to do a version of the heritage that we had in Samaria, and they mixed their gods and so forth and their heritage with it. So they been there and been in our heritage, and them was Amorites. But let's show the let me show the the tribe of Ephraim, the tribe of Ephraim messing with them Egyptians and the Assyrians, and then the I could show Jeroboam putting the Egyptian religion on us, and you know, I already told you that the book of Jonah, the Assyrians believed in the Creator and submitted, and then some went bad, and then eventually, you know, they started taking credit for doing us wrong, and jacking and robbing, and then the prophet Nahum, the prophet Nahum would give their destruction, and then in 612 BC, Assyria was wiped out. All right, let's go to let me see. All right, let's go to I got Nahum right here. I got but I want to go to, I think it's Jonah. Let's get it right. That's Malachi. Alright, let me see. Yeah, Israelites, look, if you read the book of Jonah, look, the book of Jonah is 760 BC. You'll see that the Syrians, you know, in Nineveh, that he got them and they put on sackcloth, beast, and everybody. You know, they couldn't drink no water, and everybody had to give praise to the Creator. You know, we know can't no beast put on no sackcloth and give praise to the Creator. And then we know in the book of Hosea, man, before then, no, after then, you know, that the Israelites was messing up. Big time. Because look what we was doing. This Hosea is right after Jonah far as in timeline. We know Jonah 760 BCE. Look, this is 753. And then look, this is Hosea 12. Ephraim feedeth on wind and followed after the east wind. He daily increases lies and desolation, and they do make a covenant with the Assyrians, and all is carried into Egypt. So, you know, all this carried into Egypt, it's going to be hard to be some 10 lost tribes with the northern kingdom, how to get back and forth from Assyria meant to Egypt. And look here, go to First Chronicles. I told you I wanted to get in Chronicles. Go to First Chronicles, and then that'll be 5, and then we're gonna see who the Assyrians needed, because they were starting to have trouble with the with Ashkenazi, the Scythians, the Urians, the Babylonians, all them folks up there. All them folks got tired of being robbed and subjected to Assyria's strong arm robberies, and you know, the way that they was doing them had everybody under yoke. But they only got everybody under yoke if you look at the time of the Neo-Assyrian Empire is when they had kidnapped these folks, because these Israelites was protecting Egyptian religion. Remember, this is they was protecting Egyptian religion that come from Jeroboam, and they would be stationed throughout the northern kingdom. Look, the sons. This is First Chronicles 5:18. The sons of Reuben and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh, valiant men able to bear buckler and sword, and to shoot with bow, skillful in war, were 40,000 and 703 that went out to war. All right. And then when you get over here to 26, and the Yah of Israel stirred up the spirit of Paul, king of Assyria, and the spirit of Talcapanazer, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh, and brought them. See, so those are the ones that he would need. But look here, that was in 722 BC. But look what Assyria would go do in 671. Ain't too many years later, you know. And look, they would go off into Egypt and Africa because the other folks was cutting up on them. And then they needed us. They needed us, and they was trying to get into Africa. And then the Egyptian would put the religion on the tribe of Judah, the last standing Yah worshippers during this time, men, to defeat us. And we were all going to Africa besides that 1% that was captured. And the 10th. And then they got destroyed. They got destroyed so fast by the Greeks, a little bit before Greeks, the Ammonite, Moabite, Amorites, and them was getting the land from them. And then, man, they had to go because it couldn't be two covenants. One with us in Africa with the covenant broken, the 99%. All right, let's read, let's read Isaiah so I can show. No, man, let's go to Second Chronicles. Let me show it wasn't no lost tribes, man. Like I said, this might be a little long video right here, because it's a lot to show to establish that the peoples we abandoned our heritage to created the apocryphal books, and that our heritage was cut off during the Babylonian wars, and that the exiles didn't make it over into the Greek and Roman times and so forth. You know? Alright, let's go to Second Chronicles 30. Man, listen, this is King Hezekiah. King Hezekiah come on the throne about, let me see, I think I got a map. We got the timeline with it. I think it was about 7. Here it is. Alright, so we can get a sense of timeline. Alright, Hezekiah, look, alright, 13, 716, but in 715, the next year after he was on, man, he did the Passover. Look, alright, 716. Alright, so this is him. Alright, and Hezekiah sent to all Israel and Judah. Now, how could it be a 10 lost tribe if he's sending to all Israel and Judah, and wrote letters unto Ephraim and Manasseh, because them the ones acting up, going to Assyria, going to Egypt, and they really need to humble themselves. But you know that they was, you know, the bad actors. You know, the tribe of Ephraim bring our whole heritage down with that Egyptian stuff. Look, that they should come to the house of the Elohim at Jerusalem to keep the Passover unto the Elohim Yah of Israel. For the king had taken counsel and his princes and all the congregation in Jerusalem to keep the Passover in the 2nd month, for they could not keep it at that time because the priests had not sanctified themselves. And as you're reading it, you know, so they established a decree to make proclamation throughout all Israel, from Beersheba even to Dan. Now let's look and see where Beersheba to Dan is. We got a map. It ain't hard to do. So you know that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes. So mean if everybody go into Africa and the exile is destroyed, then that people that was in our land gonna write books, and them the apocryphal books that you Israelites accept as truth. All right, look, from Beersheba, look, you see Beersheba all the way to Dan. Man, he wrote that letter, and them folks come to the Passover dinner. So why would he write a letter to a place where it ain't nobody at? All right, and then as you reading, look. So the post went with the letters from the king and his princes throughout all Israel and Judah, and according to the commandment of the king, saying, Ye children of Israel, turn again unto the Elohim Yah of Abraham, of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, and he will return to the remain of you that are escaped out of the hands of the kings of Assyria. So those Israelites escaped out of the hands of the king of Assyria, because I just showed y'all that the Syrians only needed the 3 tribes to fight the folks that they was trying to keep in subjection, but they couldn't because the 3 tribes was on Egyptian religion. You know, so look, they at home, and as you read Hezekiah history, look, you gonna see he gonna mention Zephaniah, Zebulun, look, the Asher, Zebulun, man, Zephaniah, Manasseh, and then the ones that's not mentioned during King Hezekiah's time gonna be mentioned during his great grandson King Josiah in 2 Chronicles 34. And he cleaned up the whole kingdom, the whole Israel from man, I think he could have did it, let's see, from Naphtali to man, I think from Simon to to Naphtali is still our whole heritage. Look, from Simon all the way to Naphtali. That's what he cleaned up. And he got rid of all the Egyptian religion, but the Egyptians would come out and have him killed because they was trespassing the land, man. Them some non-believers. And then when King Josiah passed away, they would put us on Egyptian religion. And then that would be the book of Jeremiah. You know, the book of Jeremiah, B-I-N, Ezekiel and Jeremiah. Ezekiel first, because when we went to Egyptian religion, man, the captivities instantly started. And that'll be the book of Ezekiel, man. And you'll get, you know, them Amorites, you know, they getting a free ride home too. You know, the Nethinims, all the Amorites that was Amorites in Babylon, but that was Amorites in our land that would go to Babylon and mix with they folks there where they was originally from, being Amorites, and they would get on Hebrew names. They would stay and do trade. They would take their kids there. They would stay there. And then false history was created as if the Israelites stayed there in Babylon in captivity and had a good time. And then they would create schools to create false books and have, man, a whole lot of stuff going. Judaism was created there in Babylon. It wasn't created in the promised land. And then that would be them folks playing with our heritage, or the Amorites not being us, but being able to create a convincing Israelite history to others that would be Judaism, that Christianity and Islam come off of, the Abrahamic religions and so forth. But look, when you read King Hezekiah history, and then you get to his great grandson who was a prophecy king, all the way all the way back to Jeroboam days, telling him that he was gonna get rid of the evil Egyptian religion, and it came to pass just before our lights went out. And it was our only chance. And then after that, it was over with. But as you read his history, you're going to see that he cleaned the land up, and so did he in the cities of Manasseh, Ephraim, and Simon, even unto Naphtali, with their mattucks about. And this was in 640 BCE. This is after the Assyrian captivity. The Assyrians ain't no problem no more. They having troubles with the Babylonians, and they will be destroyed in 612 BCE. All right. Now we Israelites know that some nations was placed in our land during the Assyrian times, because I just named them. All right. So these peoples would have a history, and they would create books. And you know, and the books will be convincing because the books are associated with the Israelite heritage. You know what I'm saying? It's like the Israelite heritage went left, man, instead of right. And then, you know, Israelites would, you know, waking up today in captivity, they don't understand that other people had our heritage longer than we have. I show we only had 800 years under the covenant, and these people got 2,800, 2,800 years with our heritage and so forth. So you know they gonna be them created some books. But look here, again, look. And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon, from Cuddle, from Ava, and from Hamath, and from Sepharvaim, and placed them in Samaria. You know, they did a slick move, them Amorites did. You know, the Syrians would take over Babylon and control Babylon. And some kind of way, I guess they thought, you know, putting them folks in our land, you know, it was a real sneaky, crafty move behind that. And I got some history on that, and I'm going to go into that. But you see how the folks from Cuddle, Hamath, and Ava was set in our land. All right, when you get down to Ezra and them time, and Nehemiah time, you see that 12 more nations, men and peoples, men that had been set up in our land. 12 more nations, 12 nations of peoples had been placed in our land. Look here, look. This is Ezra 4. Look. Then wrote Rumi the counselor, and Shimi the scribe, and the rest of their companions, the Danites, the Fishafites, the Tarshifites, the Arshifites, the Argivites, the Babylonians, the Sushanites, the Devites, and the Edomites. Man, not counting all the folks, the Ammonites, the Moabites, and everybody in our land. Now, when we get driven off and the covenant is broken, them folks got a green light to start messing with our heritage, because that broken covenant we don't have control of anymore. That's why Almighty Yah say he gonna give us a new covenant, not like the one that we had in Egypt. Look, go to Jeremiah. Go to Jeremiah. I turned right to it. I turned right to it again. Look, Jeremiah 31:31. Look. Behold, the days come, see the Elohim, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt. See, because them folks, Almighty Yah smart, because all those nations and folks would get our old heritage and create false history out of it, and we wouldn't have no control out of all that time to straighten it out, because we broke covenant for Egyptian religion. Go to Jeremiah 44. Alright. Jeremiah 44. Look, all of us going into Africa. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burnt incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwelled in the land of Egypt and Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Elohim, we will not hearken unto thee, but we will do so whatever thing go forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings, our princes, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then had we plenty of victuals, and were well, and saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense to the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword of famine. By the sword and by famine, man. We went on into Africa, everybody during the Babylonian wars, besides that little 1% that was captured. That little 1%. And then if you go to Jeremiah 44, and then we know it's supposed to read Judah